Namaskaram. So next section we are going to talk about contribution to provident fund and other staff welfare funds on behalf of employee done by employer. So please understand, the first concept we are talking in this area is employer contribution to staff welfare fund. So employer has to give three benefits to the employee. One is salary and secondly is contribution to certain provident funds or gratuity funds. So everything that employer pays for benefit of the employee is cost to the employer and income to the employee. Now income aspect we have discussed in the chapter called income from salary. Here we are talking about the cost to the employer which will become expenses and which should be allowed as a deduction only on satisfying certain condition. So what is the condition? When we have discussed in salary provident fund concept, there only we have discussed there are three types of provident fund that employer can open for his employees. One is the recognized provident fund, statutory provident fund and unrecognized provident fund. Here you can clearly see any contribution made by employer on behalf of employee to any unrecognized or unapproved fund, it will be disallowed, and this is written under section 40 capital A as well. Okay. So it is disallowed under section 40 capital A. At the same time, any contribution made to recognized provident fund or statutory provident fund or approved gratuity fund, it should be allowed to employer subject to section 43B. What do you mean by subject to section 43B is this? You need to make payment first and then only you can claim deduction. This is to secure interest of employees. This kind of provisions has been done. So employer cannot claim expenses on the provisioning basis, on the outstanding basis or accrual basis. He has to take deduction only when he actually deposits money in provident fund account. Not only this, in section 36 subsection 1, we also give deduction of employee contribution to employer. Now you will get confused here. Why are we giving deduction of employee's contribution to provident fund to employer? Because see, if salary is paid by employer to employee, then employer should get deduction. Employer contribution to provident fund for the benefit of the employee, employer should get deduction because this is the cash outflow from his own pocket. But employee contribution to staff welfare fund is the outflow from employee's pocket. So employee is the one who is contributing for his own future. Then how come we are giving deduction to employer? So please understand, though the provision says it is employee's contribution, in reality it's not done by employee. None of the employee goes to the provident fund office on monthly basis to deposit his own contribution. Here the employer is responsible to deduct that amount from salary. First they deduct and then deposit to PF. So please understand, first they deduct and the second they deposit, and when they deduct, so the moment the amount is deducted from the salary, to have a control over this income and expenditure, what Government of India has done, step 1, they consider it as an income of the employer. Now you tell me, is it an income of the employer? Answer is no, but still they are crediting it to P&L account because they wanted to have control over this kind of flow, this fund flow which is happening, which is the deduction from employee salary and deposit to the fund account. So step 2, they are saying, okay, now it will be allowed as a deduction only on actual payment basis, and that too within the due date, within due dates of respective fund, within due date of respective funds. Okay, now let's have very quick look at these provisions from our understanding. So consider this as a P&L account of employer. This is a profit and loss account, obviously of employer. So to salaries, this is the first benefit given to employer, to salary. Is it allowed as a deduction or not allowed as a deduction? You just tell me, is it allowed as a deduction? Answer is yes, it is allowed as a deduction. Allowed under section 37 subsection 1 that we have already discussed. Any salaries allowances paid by employer to employee should be allowed under section 37(1). This is the first expenses. Second expenses, employer contribution to approved funds. Is it allowed as a deduction or not allowed as a deduction? Just now we have discussed. Yes, it is allowed. Employer has paid, it is allowed under section 36, but section is different. 36 subsection 1, it is allowed under section 36 subsection 1. The most important thing here is it is allowed but subject to section 43B. What do you mean by subject to section 43B is this? It is allowed as a deduction. So this is your previous year, okay? This is your previous year 1920, which has ended on 31st March 2020. So section 43B doesn't ask you to make payment on immediate basis before 31st March. You can still make payment before filing ROI, and usually organizations file ROI assuming it is the audit assessee on 30th September 2020. Please understand. So any contribution that employer was supposed to make in this 1920, he can make either in 1920, but he can also make after 31st March, but before filing ROI or due date of ROI, whichever is earlier. This is the provision written under section 43B that we will discuss once we reach to 43B. But please understand, deduction can even be made before this date. So here also you can make payment and still it will be allowed as a deduction. Still it will be allowed as deduction because you are making payment before filing ROI or due date of ROI, whichever is earlier. Now the third and most important point here is the third point, employees contribution. Why is it allowed as a deduction? So employees contribution is allowed as a deduction or not allowed as a deduction? Yes, it is allowed as a deduction. Allowed under section 36 subsection 1. Now this is allowed subject to it is paid. It's deposited within due dates of respective fund. Within due date of respective funds. Now please understand what is the difference between employer contribution and employees contribution. See, to deposit employer contribution you are having April, May, June, July, August, September. Assuming you are an audit assessee, you are having due date of return up to 30th September. So you can make payment in any of this period. But so far as employees consideration is concerned, Government of India is kind of very strict about it, because there has been instances in past where employer has deducted money from employee salary but has never deposited that money on their account. So what Government of India has done now, the moment they deduct employee salary by calling it as a contribution to provident fund, step one they are considering it as an income, whereas it is not an income of the employer. So step 1 they first consider as income, and step 2 they give as a deduction. So it's not, technically you can understand, if employer is complying with the provision, so he deducted 10 lakh rupees and he deposited 10 lakh rupees. So this 10 lakh and this 10 lakh is actually getting crossed. That means it's neither a income nor expenditure, but to have compliance control over an employer, Government of India is saying, okay, the moment you deduct amount from employees contribution as a salary, from salary for contribution to provident fund, we will consider it as an income first and then we will give you deduction, and therefore there is a counter section which operates here. You can again recheck this discussion. See, employee contribution to staff welfare fund, first of all, okay, consider income under section 28 and deductions will be allowed under section 36 subsection 1. Now the same thing we will read from the theory written by ICAI. So have focus on this. Contribution to provident fund and other funds under section 36 subsection 1 clause 4 and clause 5. So we are combining two clauses and reading here. Contribution to employees recognized provident fund or approved superannuation fund or approved gratuity fund are allowable. So you can understand here, recognized, approved and approved. So these are the retirement funds created by employer for the benefit of employee. Subject to following condition. First, the gratuity fund should be settled upon the trust. Second, the amount contributed should be periodic payment and not an ad hoc payment start from the fund. And the gratuity fund should be exclusive for the benefit of the employee. So these are the some additional condition, you don't have to focus much upon that. Secondly, employer contribution on account of employee under the pension scheme referred under section 80 CCD. Now unfortunately you are not knowing much theory about 80 CCD, but I am covering this point for those students who knows 80 CCD. Balanced students who are watching this lecture for the first time, give me time to cover 80 CCD, there you will understand about the limitation factor of 10%. But people who have already gone through 80 CCD, they know that employer cannot contribute to employees account unlimited fund. There is a restriction of 10% of salary given under section 80 CCD. So here, if employer is contributing amount to the employer's fund, so they are not going to give you deduction of unlimited amount. The deduction is restricted to 10%, maximum 10% of salary, and here salary means basic plus DA in terms. So look at this particular provision. Section 36 subsection 1 clause 4A provide that employer's contribution to the account of employee under the pension scheme as referred to section 80 CCD would be allowed as a deduction while computing business income. Now please understand which scheme is there in 80 CCD. 80 CCD is having pension scheme called NPS. NPS stands for New Pension Scheme. It's a central government pension scheme for employees. Please understand, it's a central government scheme. Okay. However, deduction would be restricted to 10% of salary of the employee in the previous year, and salary for this purpose includes dearness allowance if terms of employment so provided, but exclude all other allowance and perquisite. So what do you mean by salary here? Salary is equal to basic salary plus a DA in terms. Okay. Let's look at one illustration through which you will understand. People who have done 80 CCD, they will understand for sure. X Limited contributed 20% of basic salary to the account of each employee under the pension scheme referred under section 80 CCD. Dearness allowance 40% of basic salary, and it forms part of retirement benefit. Now please understand these two things. He's getting 20%, he's contributing 20% of basic salary, whereas what is allowed here is 10% of basic salary plus DA. Okay. So employee is getting 40% basic salary and it's forms part of retirement benefit. That means this is DA in terms. So it will be considered for calculating the answer. Compute the amount of deduction allowable under section 36 subsection 1 clause 5A if the basic salary of the employee, light chala gaya, basic salary of employee aggregate to 10 lakh. Basic salary of employee aggregate to 10 lakh. Would this allowance under section 40A9 be attracted? If so, to what extent? So you can tell me by using the calculator, you tell me what is the basic salary? 10 lakh. Now multiply 10 lakh with 40%, which is the DA. So that will be 4 lakh. 4 lakh plus 10 lakh is equal to 14 lakh. 14 lakh multiplied by 10%. So how much is allowed? 1.4 lakh is allowed. Now please understand how much contribution he has made. 20% of basic salary, and 20% of basic salary is 10 lakh. 10 lakh multiplied by 20% is 2 lakh. So 2 lakh is actual contribution, whereas 1.4 lakh is the maximum limit. So deduction which will be allowed under section 36 subsection 1 will be 1.4 lakh and balance will be disallowed. Look at the presentation. Basic salary 10 lakh, DA which is forming part of retirement benefit, which is a DAT, we call it with love DAT. Those who know the salary chapter, they understand this. So salary for the purpose of section 36 subsection 1 is 14 lakh. Actual contribution 20% of basic salary, which is a 2 lakh, and the less permissible deduction under section 36 subsection 1 is the 10% of basic salary plus a DA. So that is 14 lakh into 10%, which is 1.4 lakh. So this is the deduction allowed. Sometime in MCQ they ask both type of question. What is the deduction allowed and what is the deduction disallowed? Here the question is very clear. They are asking us for disallowances. Therefore, this is deduction allowed, and whatever excess payment is made, that much amount will be disallowed under section 40A subsection 9. Now please understand the next clause. Amount received by assessee as a contribution from his employee towards their welfare fund to be allowed only if such amount is credited on or before due date. Okay, look at this. Section 36 subsection 1 clause 5A we are discussing now, and here only, some students get confused because here there is a step mechanism. Step 1, it is income. And step 2, deduction, which is written in our notes. Section 36 subsection 1 5A and section 57 1A. Now section 57 1A is under IFOS, but both these section talks about the same thing. So please understand it here so that we can ignore the provision under IFOS chapter. Okay, provide that deduction in respect of sum received by the taxpayer as a contribution, sum received by taxpayer, that means it is employee's contribution from his employees towards any welfare fund of such employee will be allowed only if such sum is credited by the taxpayer to employee's account in the relevant fund on or before due date. Now when they say on or before due date, it's not due date of filing of return, it's a due date of respective fund. For PF it is 15th April. So please understand, for employer contribution we are having time up to filing of return, but for employees contribution we must deposit within the fund within the due date given by respective fund. So what do you mean by due date? This concept itself is important here. Okay, the date by which the assessee is required as an employer to credit such contribution to the employee's account in the relevant fund under the provisions of any law on terms of contract or service otherwise. So please understand, it's not talking about income tax, it's talking about respective fund. Look at this. As per, for an example, as per Employees Provident Fund Scheme 1952, which is a recognized provident fund. So this is RSP, recognized RPF, recognized provident fund. The amount under consideration in respect of wages of employees for any particular month shall be paid within 15 days of close of every month. So please understand, when you go on audit, I'm talking to articles now, please understand, whenever you are going in audit, April amount should be deposited by 15th May, before 15th May. May amount should be deposited before 15th June. June amount should be deposited before 15th July. Similarly, December amount should be deposited before 15th January. February amount must be deposited before 15th March, and March amount must be deposited before 15th April, because, and if you don't deposit that, the deduction will not be allowed. Therefore, you can understand, employer has already credited deduction as an income, but he won't get deduction under section 36 subsection 1 because he has a deposited amount after 15th. Even if you deposit amount after 15th of a respective month, still we will not give deduction. Here deduction is very precise. Government says you must deposit before 15th of following month to claim the deduction. Okay, so this is how you need to understand all these provisions. Still, if you are having any doubt, you are free to shoot us query in our comment box. I will clarify it through one or more practical examples. Okay, thank you friends.